In this quick start guide, I'm going to show you how to create your first branching scenario using YoScenario. So from the home page, I've already logged in, so I'll just go to my dashboard. And you can see I've got no scenarios, I've got no media, and I've got no monthly plays because I've got no scenarios yet. So let's create one. And I'll give it a quick title. I'll choose a template type. And as you can see, there are 4 different types we can choose from there, and all these do is set certain configuration variables and stylings that suit those types of scenario. For purposes of this demo, we'll go for a default. And we can give it an image. So I'll just select one here. You'll notice that we can use the media library to insert the image here, but we don't have anything uploaded yet, so there's no point. And now we have to create some introductory content. Now this uses the content editor, which is a component-based editor, which you will use throughout your scenario when you're creating your steps. So the content editor is component-based, and it's based on sections, rows, columns, and components. So the first thing we need to do is add a section. Then we need to add a row. And when we add a row, it asks us how many columns we want and what kind of width columns we want. So for this one, I'm just going to go for a standard single column. And now I'm going to add a component. As you can see, there are lots of different component types we can choose from. So these are the visual components, which are your text, image, video, etc. And there's a few more interesting ones down there as well. Later on, you might get up and running with activity types, which can be pick tasks, quizzes, forms, chats, etc. For the purposes of this quick start, we're just going to add a text component and just insert some text. And you can see also there's tabs at the top here. These can be used to add extra configuration to your component. So you've got a style one, you've got an advanced one where you can add your own CSS that will apply just to this component. You can give it your own custom CSS class or even an ID. Which can be used when you go to use the style editor later on. And there's a few settings as well, so you can set the animation for when this component is shown. There's loads of different options there you can see. And there's also conditions, so you can choose when to show this based on variables within the scenario. Now that's a bit more advanced, so we won't go into that today. We'll just stick to adding some text. And you can see we've also got the config field here, which lets you set a few configuration variables for this scenario. But we don't need to worry about for this quick start. So there you go, the scenario has been created, but as you can see we've got no steps. So this is the scenario view we've got here, and it's defaulted to the steps view. So what we need to do now is create our first step. So we'll give it a title. And as you can see again, we've got the content editor, which will be the content for this step. So I'll add a section, I'll add a row with 1 column again. This time I'll add a text one again, which says, and we'll also add an image as well. And to do that, I will click on the media library. As you can see, we've got the street image in there that we used for the scenario, but we want to add a new one. You can see we can choose a media folder, but we've got none set up at the moment, so there's no point. So we'll just give it a title, press upload, then that will get added to our media library, as you can see, and it just handily tells us which one we just uploaded, so we can select that. Give it a size, we'll make it medium, and give it some alternative text to aid accessibility, and we'll save it. Now, if you want to have a quick look, see what this looks like as you're going along, you can quickly preview the content by pressing this button. And that will just show us how it's looking at the moment, which can be handy if you're doing more complicated things than just a couple of images. You can see we've also got an action editor. Now again, this is for more advanced functionality you want to create within your scenario. And you can set actions to, when you, for example, enter this step, you can set variables to certain values. You can trigger alerts. You can perform other actions like going to a different step, but we won't go into that for this one because this is just keeping it simple. Right, now our step has been added, so we have our start. I'll put that in the middle there. And what we need to do now is create some choices to go from this step. So we've presented the person with 2 doors, so we should really give them a choice of which door. So we press this button and then we can add a choice. And again, a choice has a title or some media, which would be, if you want your choices to be images, you can put them in here. We're just going to use text for this one. So we'll say red door first. And target step. So when the user chooses this choice, what should happen? Where should they go? So we don't have a step created for it, so we'll just leave it on create a new step. And again, we don't need the action editor or the configuration editor for this. So if we press this now, it will add the choice and it will also create the step that the choice goes to automatically. So we've got a little message saying that the step was automatically created for us from the choice. So what happens when they choose the red door? They go into the red room, of course. So again, let's add some content for this step. We'll keep it simple again. So we've got some text in the red room. Add an image to go with that. Select that. Give it a size. Put that in. And if we save that, we'll see that we've created a choice with a step. There we go. So now we can see we have from the first start step, you'll notice that's green because that indicates it's the first step of the scenario, so that's where the user will always start. And now we have a choice called red door, and that choice, indicated by that blue colour there, goes to the red room. So now we need to create a choice for the blue door. So again, we'll leave it to go to a new step. You'll see we're uploading images as we go here. It's often more efficient to upload all of your media before you start the scenario. Update that step, and there you'll see we now have room, so I'll put this one this side actually and this one this side. There you see we have a nice simple branching scenario where we start, we're presented with 2 doors and we can choose which one to go through. So the next thing we want to do is style our scenario up before we preview it. So to do that, we go to the style editor and it'll give us an idea of how it's going to look. You can see we can set lots of different things we can set here, and you can have fun playing with all these things, setting fonts and colours and whatnot. We'll just leave it as the default for now, so we'll just update that. So now if we preview it, you'll see we've got our scenario good to go. So should we go through the red door or the blue door? Let's go through the red door, and it takes us to the red room. Now one thing I've noticed is I've put these choices the wrong way around, so I'll just swap them around. I'll try it again. I just prefer that because now the blue door is on the same side as the blue door in the picture. Red door goes to the red room. Now from here you can keep adding more choices and more steps and create as many branches as you like. So hopefully that's given you a quick insight into how to create your first branching scenario. There's obviously a lot more you can do. There's lots more functionality you can play around with. We've not touched toolkits or breakouts or anything like that, or even the actions and variables and all sorts. But we'll get into that in videos in the future. Thank you very much. Enjoy.